This young guy stumbles upon aliens visiting Earth, and now he's on a mission to figure out why they came. And trust me, the answer? It's gonna blow his mind. Back in 1979, there's this guy named Carl who's driving home from work in Wrangell, Alaska. He's cruising along in his truck when, out of nowhere, his friend's truck, which is right ahead of him, suddenly gets lifted straight into the sky. Like, no warning or anything. Then, that truck drops right down on Carl's truck. Naturally, he jumps out to check on his friends. Right then, Carl looks up and spots a UFO flying overhead. Panic mode activated. He bolts into the nearby jungle to get away. While running, he notices the UFO hovering just above him. Then, out of nowhere, a beam shoots down from the UFO, grabbing him and lifting him off the ground. At the same time, his body goes completely stiff, like he's been frozen. Flash forward to today. A young man named Isaac Cypress shows up at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, where he works. He and his buddy Beck are messing around with a little game. Beck uses NASA satellites to send out a signal, and Isaac's job is to track it down. Isaac finds the signal super easily, but Beck's like, "Wait, that's not the one I sent." Turns out the signal is coming from somewhere in Canada, which is weird because there are no satellites registered there at all. Just for kicks, Isaac sends a copy of the signal back out for Beck to find later. That night, while Isaac's working, his computer suddenly picks up a strange signal from an unknown source in space. It's full of random codes, which obviously sparks Isaac's curiosity. Isaac's therapist then suggests he start keeping a video diary. So, Isaac grabs his camera and starts recording everything. One day, after a hike, Isaac is filming himself when a meteor crashes nearby. Suddenly, fighter jets show up and sirens start blaring. Isaac quickly figures the whole area is about to be locked down. To avoid getting caught, he hides in some bushes and sneaks closer to where the meteor hit. When he reaches the crash site, he spots a UFO. Isaac flips on his camera to film it, but bam, the UFO just vanishes into thin air. Isaac spins around and sees an alien standing right behind him. Trying to stay low-key, he hits the record button again. The alien just stares at him for a few seconds, then calmly walks away. Once the alien leaves, Isaac takes off running, but halfway through, everything goes black. 3 days later, Isaac wakes up somewhere totally different. He checks his camera and finds he still has the footage of the alien and the moment he was lifted off the ground. There's also a strange mark on his arm. Back home, Isaac sits on his bed, deep in thought. Suddenly, his TV just disappears right before his eyes. Weirdly, when he reaches out where the TV was, his hand goes through some invisible barrier, like a gateway to another dimension. Focusing hard, he manages to bring the TV back. Isaac realizes he somehow made the TV vanish. He repeats the experiment with his camera just to be sure. Later, Isaac visits a doctor and gets an X-ray of his arm. The scan shows a perfectly straight fracture, like someone sliced through his bone with a knife. Totally bizarre. At work, Isaac shows Beck his crazy new ability. He can make objects disappear into other dimensions. But here's the catch. Only Isaac can actually see where the stuff goes. Beck can't see it at all. Isaac then shows Beck the alien footage. Beck is stunned. Isaac wants to share it with another coworker, but Beck isn't so sure it's a good idea. Frustrated, Isaac heads home and uploads the footage online with the caption, "Alien abduction footage." Next morning, Isaac's phone blows up. A news anchor calls him wanting to do a story on the video. Isaac checks the upload and sees it's gone viral overnight, almost 1 million views. He scans the comments. Some people believe it's legit, while others swear it's fake. Throughout the day, he gets bombarded with interview requests from news outlets and magazines. Eventually, he caves and agrees to appear on a news channel. During the interview, Isaac plays the footage and tells the whole story of his abduction, hoping to finally get the truth out there. But the interviewer? She totally mocks him, sarcastically saying, "Isn't it a little too convenient you just happened to have a camera when an alien showed up?" In the following days, Isaac's story spreads like wildfire. Half the public supports him, half thinks he's faking it for attention. Meanwhile, Isaac dives into online research on other alien abduction stories. He finds that many accounts are eerily similar to his own. He discovers one woman named Sarah and messages her to meet up. When they finally meet, Isaac tells Sarah that alien encounters have been happening for ages. There are even ancient paintings showing them. Plus, some scientists claim to have received mysterious signals from space. Sarah asks if Isaac knows about the 1979 alien abduction in Wrangell, Alaska. Isaac says no. She explains that a man named Carl was abducted then, and after going public with his story, he mysteriously vanished. Isaac decides to upload copies of his footage to websites where people report abductions. While mailing the tapes, a guy named Keith shows up to help. Keith says he's a writer and thinks it's unfair how the media's tearing Isaac apart. He wants to write a story that lets Isaac tell his side properly. Isaac thinks it over overnight, and the next day agrees. At Keith's office, Keith suggests Isaac take a lie detector test to prove he's telling the truth. Isaac agrees, and after answering all the questions, none of his answers are lies. But Keith suddenly looks stressed and leaves the room. Isaac follows and spots two men dressed like agents walking down the hallway. Isaac tries to run, but they shoot him, knocking him out cold. When Isaac wakes up, he's being dragged by two androids into a bright white room and tied to a chair. Outside the room, he sees Sarah also being dragged away. On a screen, Keith appears, but reveals his real identity, Agent Graves. Graves tells Isaac they're going to assess how much exposure he's had. They bring objects in front of Isaac and tell him to focus, but nothing happens. Finally, Isaac refuses to cooperate and demands to know where he and Sarah are. Graves asks if Isaac knows where Carl is. Isaac lies, saying he has no idea. Isaac then breaks free from his chair and fights off the androids. As he escapes, he spots Sarah locked in a room. Using his mind, Isaac somehow opens the door. Sarah and Isaac make a run for it as androids shoot after them. They manage to get out of the facility and find themselves in Costa Rica. Graves orders his men to follow Sarah and Isaac, hoping they'll lead him to Carl. Isaac says if he can get internet access, he can find Carl, who he desperately wants to talk to. At a local restaurant, a woman points them to a man named Zed who can help them get online. They meet Zed, a hacker and tech wizard. Just then, androids show up, so they have to flee. Zed takes them to his jungle hideout with an untraceable internet connection. On the way, Zed explains that the androids work for the International Space Research Program, a top-secret agency. Zed tries hacking into NASA servers to trace the mysterious Canadian signal Isaac and Beck found. They discover Carl's location. Zed has a laptop at his place and sets up a video call. At first, Carl rejects the call, but Zed hacks into his laptop anyway. Isaac quickly tells Carl about his abduction story before the call can be shut down. Isaac says he sent a copy of Carl's signal into space and got a reply the same night. Carl demands to see it. Isaac sends over the alien-coded message. Carl decrypts the code and plays it as audio. An alien voice speaks, giving a time and place for arrival. 5 days later at Carl's house. Then Carl suddenly shuts down his computer. Isaac insists they have to go to Carl's place. Sarah is hesitant, but Zed's pumped and wants to come along. Zed uses his contacts to get a private plane to fly them to Canada. Meanwhile, Graves has planted trackers on Sarah and Isaac and has been following them all along. After a long trip, Zed, Sarah, and Isaac arrive at Carl's house. At first, Carl's suspicious but then welcomes them in. Carl explains that after his abduction, he was taken by ISRP, but escaped and went into hiding. For 20 years, he's been trying to contact the aliens again. He's worked non-stop to create programs that translate alien code into English audio. Now, when the aliens arrive, he'll be able to talk to them. Over the next 2 days, while waiting, Sarah and Isaac bond wandering the woods. Zed dives into Carl's equipment, curious as ever. On the day aliens are set to arrive, Isaac feels the ground trembling. Carl says it means the aliens are close. Isaac heads out into the woods. Sure enough, he spots them and asks, "What do you want?" They all sit down with the aliens, with Carl's translator device switched on. The aliens say they've mastered medicine, physics, technology, all science. Now they're searching for something greater, the origin of the universe. Isaac asks why they're studying humans. The aliens reply that humans have a unique aura that can be measured. They show Isaac a vision of Jesus and ask who he is. Isaac asks why that matters. The aliens say Jesus seems central to the universe's origin. There's a connection between him and the aura inside humans. Sarah asks about the marks on her and Isaac's arms. An alien pulls out a device, slices Sarah's arm open, and removes a tracker. They placed trackers in them to keep records. The aliens tell Isaac that in their world, seeing is believing. But after all their advances, they've learned believing is actually seeing. Just then, Graves and his men storm outside, demanding Carl come out. Turns out Graves has a personal vendetta. His father was in the truck Carl saw lifted but was never found. Graves demands answers. Carl has none. Graves' men open fire, hitting Carl. Sarah rushes to help him and gets shot too. The alien tells Isaac to focus and use his senses. Isaac does, and suddenly the world around him glitches like a video game. He finds himself inside a virtual simulation created by the aliens. Isaac hacks the simulation, exposing Graves' plan to keep humans in the dark. The aliens give Isaac and friends a choice: join them and learn universal secrets, or return to Earth and forget everything. Isaac chooses to stay. The simulation breaks, and Graves' men are arrested. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe to Vision Movie Recap. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.